Good morning, my name is François Dumont. I'm a co-founder and CEO of GoldFinx. When we were asked to come and talk about how new technology can influence positively the financial industry, we certainly jumped on the occasions to come and talk about our business case. GoldFinx is a FinTech company that was created in a new form of funding for companies that are linked to gold mining. It's a highly profitable business model that just happened to be fair trade classified and environmentally friendly. The problem that we're so passionate at solving or helping solving is the inability for the small-scale gold miners to have access to capital. If you're a gigantic public company, industrial-sized mining operation, and you require $1 billion for your new funding venture, banks will be at your feet loaning you the money. For the most part, to say 99.9%, of the 40 million small-scale miners involved in gold around the world, getting any type of funding is impossible. The United Nations, the World Bank, large NGOs spend large amount of money trying to determine what was the cause for this horrific conditions around the gold mining in the small-scale environment, which we'll detail a little bit further. And every time, the conclusion is always the same: the inability to have access to capital. Is this supposed to? There we go. Pay attention, you miss it. You blink, you miss it. All right, so that day they lost a woman and a young teenage boy. This is not every day this horrific, but the conditions around that mining operation is every day's reality. The consequences of not finding finance or capital or access to capital for that group, this status quo impacts everybody, literally everybody around the world. The fact that they don't have access to capital, they don't have access to technology, to machinery, it's fairly manual, the process, and unfortunately, they've been using for decades mercury and cyanide, which, without going too much in detail, facilitate the amalgamation of the gold dust. The usage of this mercury has severe consequences. One of the main reasons why we're not supposed to be eating fish or so much fish in our diet, it's because of the mercury accumulation in the food chain linked to the fish. Now, keep in mind that the thousands of tons of mercury is used in the jungle, in the remote areas, yet the fish lives in the middle of the ocean, right? So look at the trail of devastation of this condition. So this is probably the most vivid consequences, but there's also horrific human condition happening. The abuse, the violence that is linked to the environment. They don't have legal arbitration over there. If they dispute something, it's usually the Kalishnikov cousins that resolve that dispute. I had the pleasure of living in Peru in South America, trying to organize a co-op of miners. And then every time that I was meeting with the group of miners of about 20, there was always one or two kids proud to be attending the meeting because he was proud of his father's work. And then I couldn't help myself. Every time that I was meeting with them, I had this feeling that I was meeting with zombies, literally. The white of the eye is no longer white, it's yellow, and it's injected with blood. It's very weary talking face to face with these guys. But what struck me the most was looking at the kid, like a 10, 12-year-old kid. You know that he has already started working on the mine, by the way. But you see that eventually, extrapolating his life, he's looking at a life expectancy which is closer to 45 years old than 75 years old. So that is very poignant when you're involved in the day-to-day activity and reality of this. So in a nutshell, there's something needs to be done, and we cannot live with this status quo. The solution we're trying to go after is basically to bring them from Stone Age, literally, from this extremely manual process using, harsh chemical, to a much more, contemporary environment where they use the proper machinery. And by usage of the right technology, you don't have to use the harsh chemical in the jungle. So how we do this, essentially we've created and using the crypto as a mode of financing all of this operation. We've created our GICs, the cryptocurrency. We're selling the GICs. We're accumulating the revenue, and then we're allocating in a very creative way, which is the fair trade aspect of our operation, which is basically we advance the money by paying in advance a certain amount of gold that just happened to be the requirement to execute a business plan, their working capital, CapEx, until they're cash flow positive. Once they're cash flow positive, they start obviously operating. First thing they need to do is they need to deliver the gold that we purchase in advance. This transaction is done in gold, and when we receive the gold, we store permanently into a vault in Switzerland, and that becomes the protected aspect of our coin, which very exclusively, we have this protected coin, and there's a link through the smart contract onto the management of the trustee that is responsible for the vault, and then the GICs. So should there be a condition that would prevent our GICs, our cryptocurrency, to continue to exist in time, there's a condition that would cause a liquidation of the gold in the vault, and then the money would be distributed amongst all of the GICs owners. Going back to the gold delivery, once they deliver the advance purchase that we've contracted, from that point on, the reward for us for advancing this money to them, we're getting a royalty of productions for the lifetime of the mine of 20%. 75% of that royalty is also stored permanently into the vault, ensuring it gives you two things. It gives you the protection to the GICs, our cryptocurrency, but also gives you the ability, which is extremely rare in the crypto world, to project in time the minimum price of that crypto by the sheer fact that the volume is accumulating in the vault, and then you know that you have a finite number of coins. This is very unique in how we're doing this, and it just happened to be fair trade and environmentally friendly. The additional benefit of our business model, we have a service of a supply chain management system, also using blockchain, that will certify the origination of the gold, which is primordial and important when you come to the refinery. This is when you melt the raw gold and transform it to pure gold. This is the time that you associate a value, and that value is what we refer to as the London pricing. The gold miners in the jungle sell today their gold probably at 30% of that value. But by providing them the ability to certify that this comes from that mine and that mine is legal, it's allowed to be refined in the European refinery and obtain that price of the day, which is the highest price you could get for the gold. The currency that we have, this GICs, is also going to be used as a microcurrency. We're not going to replace the fiat of the world, but definitely serve a purpose to operations that are in the jungle, allowing them to basically buy their supplies using our GICs, having a matching wallet card for the spouse to actually go to the village, use ATM machines provided by us, convert to local currency. Today, when they're buying their supply in the jungle, diesel and other supply, everything is done with a pinch of gold dust. So you buy your diesel, pinch of gold dust. So that means if you pay with gold dust, it means you have a pouch of gold dust. That means you need to have weapon, you need to have protection. We're eliminating all of that risk by providing them with a smartphone, which they already have. Sometimes they don't have coverage, but we also have sat phone solutions for that. So this is a great mix of high-tech in a very remote area. And then finally, this is all done in respect to the United Nations. They had a conference, and everybody established that something needs to be done in that sub-industry of gold mining. And we believe, and then we validated this with different agencies, we are, going to be able to impact very favorably in changing that condition. Just to give you an example, today there's 40 million gold miners, small scale, operating in 75 countries. Today, this is about 30-some prospect that we have on the table that we're analyzing, but we will select the best of the best out of that when we're ready to launch. We're starting to fund somewhere in May a small mine in Africa, but that, with the proceeds of the first raise, we anticipate to do as much as 15 mines and help 15 communities. So essentially, this is what we're going after, basically. Bringing some humanity into that industry that has been so much devastated for years and decades and decades. If we don't do anything, this is going to continue. And then thankfully, we have the solution to address that. So we are doing our part, and you can too. We have a booth next door. We'll be more than happy to, if you stop by, to explain how you can contribute into this crusade. Thank you very much.